Not happening. That was close. Not happening. Not happening. Not happening.
Changes anything. This world is hell. You will be forgotten. Power in my shadow. Oh, parsley to elbows.
The altar of oblivion.
So, you finally returned to me, and with a guest. But first, prove yourselves worthy.
Aberoth! Face us yourself!
Enough of this, Harbingers. Entertain my dear sister for a moment.
Traveler, don't worry about me!
Such wasted potential. All of this would have welcomed you. Fight for nothing!
Not happening.
For our world apart, they deserve their fates. What? No! Zombies! Help me! Such wasted potential. All of this would have welcomed you. Fight for nothing. The void hungers. See the beauty we were denied. The terror turned her back on
He
us.
finally found peace. Greetings.
Not happening.
The void hungers.
Nothing.
The gods tore our world apart. They deserve their fate. This is the world no better. Death is our legacy. I thank God for a dead world. is awesome. The void comes.
Not happening.
You fight for nothing.
That was close.
The void comes.
Not happening.
Yo, what's up people, it's your boy P, also known as Captain P67. We're here today with another God build video for last Epoch. This is my Predator Falconer God build. So this is a build I put in or made within a week of juggling other builds or multiple builds, and I made this specifically after the, I guess, the misconception of the nerf to Falconer in general, especially with dual wielding and daggers. So I kind of wanted to make it a challenge just to make my own God build with it, and I'll go through all the passives, idols and everything with you. And as you can see from the footage, we killed a tier 4 Jura in 6 seconds, Uber Aberoth under 2 minutes, 1000 corruption mono clear is super quick, super easy, 1000 corruption boss and harbingers just get melted in seconds, so it's absolutely insane. Super powerful, it's kind of tanky as well, and we got a lot of dodge to it as well. So without further ado, let's get into the build, and we'll go all the way top to bottom for the gear first and foremost. So as far as the gear goes, what I have also done, I've made it so it's not pretty much impossible to build for any sort of suppliers. So I have got Uber Aberoth items, but I've made it without that. So I've kind of made it with sort of like gear you could pretty much obtain, and it's not that difficult as long as you do a bit of farming and a bit of grinding, because there are a few uniques in the build as well. So first and foremost, it's the peak of the mountain for the helmet. Now you can actually get this from the lightless arbor, and you could potentially just start with an LP1, which wouldn't be too difficult to get, because even going through lightless arbor you can get like 2 or 3 LPs. It's just about finding the one with the +5. The higher stats you get, the better, but +5 is a max roll on it. But ideally you want to slam dex on there. Now for me, because I had a triple or 3 LP, I wanted some other specific stats, because I wanted to make it specific to the dual wield, and I'll show you in the skill tree what I've used and some cool stuff as well. But with this one I added 16 physical throwing damage while dual wielding, because I've added bleed in there, which converts to the Falcon. So it does a lot of bleed procs, can do 300 to 500. We have physical shred as well on the build, which I'll go through with you. And then obviously the main thing is our dex. So what you want to mainly slam is the dex on there. So ideally you want to go for a tier 7, which will be the 16 dex. But with mine I went for health, because I wanted to be a bit more chunky. At 2k HP you can get one-shotted a lot, but I think at 2-2 it's a nice base, and you can always work on it the higher you get. But yeah, roll the dex first and foremost. Get the health if you can possibly, and you're good to go. Now, in regards to the chest piece, it's an all portent, which is quite easily farmable off normal Aberoths. You don't have to do Uber, but I've done a lot of Uber Aberoth, and you get a lot of guaranteed like ones pre-slammed. But even normal Aberoth, you can get one without it, and then just nemesis it, and you might get lucky with a 2, or you might just get a 1 off him anyway. But yeah, on this you really want dex. Dex is the best thing to get first and foremost. The higher the dex, the better for your build, but guaranteed slam, get the dex. However, if you can get like dive bomb on there when you get like a double tier 7 or anything else, that would be great. I did actually try and roll something better at the time, but I did brick 2 for like 1 billion each, and I ended up getting the health. So it isn't too bad. I've still got health, so I'm still like more chunky on survivability. It's great for mono clearing, but ideally just get dex, dive bomb if possible, area of dive bomb, etc., and another skill. And then obviously you can farm furthermore. So start off with the 1 and then just work your way up. Now in regards to the amulet, you can get these from the tombs. So whenever you do the tombs, you got a chance of getting one of these out of there. And the ideal stats really is crit strike multiplier mainly, but with mine I got kind of lucky. The main stats I wanted was a crit multi in general and some frailty which I got built in. But yeah, we got the frailty built in, we got the crit multi, crit chance and ignite. So pretty much a god roll there. 11% less damage over time taken, so it stops that damage or mitigates it better for you as well. Better survivability. Now in regards to the Traitor's Tongue, you can get these from the Reign of Dragons. Now I did get, again, pretty lucky. I did get like ones with 0 LP, and I actually did it live on the stream. I actually gave him to the Nemesis, and he gave me 3 LPs. Sorry, no, he gave me a 3 LP and a 2 LP. So with the 3 LP, I ended up rolling this, which is pretty much what I mentioned about the bleed. So we got increased physical damage. Fizz Pen is very important, I'd say, for the extra damage, because you get minion Fizz Pen. So we do the damage, the minion does the damage. So Fizz Pen, ideally you want in there, plus the armor shred is very important. So make sure you get at least like armor shred on there at least, as well as Fizz Pen and the physical damage if possible. But ideally, you want the Fizz Pen and the chance to shred armor on hit. Now on the alternate one, it's the same thing again. We can actually inflict bleed by using this and the Crimson Shroud, but I'll go over that with the passes a bit later for you. But ideally, again, you want best crit multis are probably the best in general. So we've got a tier 7 crit multi on there, and again, chance to inflict bleed, which can scale to your Falconer, so you want that on there as well. So they're pretty easily obtainable, but just getting the right ones with the 2 dexterity skills you want on there as well. It's another thing, so definitely look out for a double. But again, as I built this organically, and I did this all live on stream within a week and juggling other builds, I would just get like one item, start off with the LP1 or possibly 2 if I got lucky, and then I kept working up and kept like slamming till I got the gear I wanted. Now, in belt wise, you want the Jungle Queen Chaps holding. Now, this is obtainable on the Fall of the Empire. I found it quite an easy drop in general. I did get lucky with the LP3 as well. But ideally, you want on this is the cooldown recovery speed. That is the most important thing for the build, which I'll go for the mechanics and rotation. That's first and foremost. But then obviously throwing damage is phenomenal because you do flat damage, which is a lot. And then I got lucky by slamming both of those on there. And then I got necrotic resistance as well. And again, I'll go for all the resistances and I'll cover everything more towards the end of the build, just so you can see what I got covered. Now, red rings are more global drops, but you go normally Age of Winter. Now, I would say I have got quite a lot. I've got about 10, and I'm on Merchant's Guild, but these all dropped for me live. So you can see where it says, it doesn't say it cannot be traded, because I didn't buy these. I literally farmed these legit, all of them. So within a week of that, they definitely are farmable. But I ain't going to lie, when I originally got 1 red ring, I didn't think I would get an LP1, because like a couple of days I weren't getting anything, and then I actually started making other builds, and I said I got several builds cooking. I just released a Javelin build that's hitting well, so you can check that out. But I got several other builds cooking. So what I did was I actually went to another build, Werebear build, and I was just playing at 100 corruption and LP. This dropped for me at LP1. Actually, it wasn't even this one; it was this one first. And then I put this imprint on the Weaver's tree. So if you don't know how that works, I can explain that if you want. But yeah, basically, if you get a red ring, or you got more cells. If you get a red ring anyway, just go to your Weavers and just make sure you imprint it. Once you imprint it, they do drop more often than not. And I actually got 3 in 45 minutes live on stream. I got 2 LP1s in 24 hours. So what I've done is I put the boots and the rings on here, and then the chest piece as well. But little extra side tip. But yeah, anyway, basically, on the rings themselves, you want to mainly start off with normal red rings if possible for the resistances and the dex. But you could use Phantom Grips instead. If you want to just go straight high dex, because the higher dex you get, the better for the build. So you could potentially just get 2 Phantom Grips for that crit chance, and slam 2 16 dex in there to start off with. And again, that's what pretty much I did at first without one of the red rings. But then ideally, the perfect setup is you do want a red ring, preferably the +5, which is the max roll again. And then slam a dex in there, tier 7, and then the same thing. On this one, I got a +4. But I still got an LP1, and then I'll slam this as well. And like I said, these drop within 24 hours of me getting the LP1 first. So don't give up if you're just looking for that. But yeah, just keep playing, having fun, and they've all dropped for sure. Just keep them farming. Things do take a bit of grind and farm, as you know. That's just how the game works. So just keep on rocking. And then also the Blood Risk gloves. Now, you want to get these from Ending the Storm. They are more of a common drop and easier to get. But what you want to really look out for is a +3 to Falconer, one of the middle stats, very important. You can again start with a +1 or 2, but ideally just look for a 3s or just re-roll them. And obviously the decks as well. Decks can range from 2 to 10, so it's great to have it inbuilt in. But on average, maybe just try and aim for like 5 minimum and work your way up. But on this one again, this isn't the ideal one because I tried to get thrown there as well, which I got more. But I haven't found another 2 LP to slam. So and again, I wanted to make this as minimal as I could, as well as a maximum output. But yeah, so when you get these, roll the tier 7, which is the dex on there, and that's going to get you more damage, and that will scale, and it'll go that with you. But ideally, with the 2 LP, you want dex and the throwing damage. That would be your best bet for the damage as well. Now, in regards to the Razor 4, you get this from the Spirits of Fire. Now, if you noticed again, I've got tier 7 cooldown recovery speed. Again, it's ideal. This is the main 2 stats you want in the belt and the boots, and then once you get like a 2 or 3, then you want to get throwing damage. However, with the boots again, if I do end up getting lucky, getting a 2 OP and the slam I want, with the you want 2 to throw in attacks as well, and you want like the dex to be quite decent as well. So you want 5 and above. I've got 8 on these, but it can be 12. But yeah, cooldown recovery speed is the most important thing, and again I'll explain that once we go into rotation as well. And that's where you farm those. But you should be able to get a 1 pretty easy once you know. And again, imprint at New Eve as well. And I've had several drops since I put it on there as well. Now, last but not least, what I've done is, again, to make it realistic, and this is all online. So I started off with like 8 dexterity, then I went to like 13. Then I found this one just randomly, just blasting the map. So this is just obviously perfect. It's got dex and my minion damage, and it's got my resistances as well. However, if I wanted to, I could actually roll this since it's an LP1. So since this comes with 6 attributes already, I could potentially roll this LP1 guaranteed and then put like 16 dex on there as well. So I'd have 24 dex, and it'd be even better. I'd get, you know, less damage taken, be immune to slow, have haste, my crit chance will go up. All attributes will give me more HP, dodge rating, frenzy as well, and then +1 to all skills. But like I said, what I've done is I've made this the most minimalistic way, but the most optimal way as well. But obviously, if you've already done Ubab Wrath and you got spare of these, or you're on merchants with billions and you want to spend, you kind of put this in and make it more ideal. But like I said, I'm just going to show you different ways of building it, but the maximum way and the easier way. And then, of course, if we want to put this on, we can, but we don't need to. As you can see from the footage, we're doing everything we want. So yeah, I could put this on here, or I might slam it on somewhere else, but I've got a few, and I can get these pretty easy anyway. But I thought I'd just have an alternate version for you. It's easier to get and easy to play with for maybe some newer players or people that aren't having the best RNG at the moment. Now, that is the gear in general. So what we're going to go over now is the idols. So what again I've done is I've focused specifically on my own build on this. So some of these idols you may not have been used in another build or anywhere in general, but we're dual wielding. So what I've gone for is high amount of crits. So crit strike multiplier while dual wielding. On top of that, we get increased armor shred effect. So we do have a lot of armor shred with this one on here, 154 here, and then we have this off the relic, which also does transfer to the Falcon, which I'll go through. But what I've done is the armor shred effect. So not only do we apply a lot of armor shred, as you can see from the footage, sometimes 200 to 300 stacks, it stays on longer, allows us to do more damage over time. We do a lot of DOT as well, and that's why the build's just so crazy and it scales. Now what we've got is increased Crimson Shroud duration. Now if you're not sure what Crimson Shroud is, you can just go over some other notes, but it's basically here for you. So Crimson Shroud grants plus 50% bleed chance and 5% less damage over time taken for 4 seconds. You can stack up to 3 times, so that's 15%. So 150% bleed chance and 15% less damage over time taken for 4 seconds. That applies to us, but we can transfer that to the Falconer, which is what I'm kind of going through as well. But yeah, basically that's dope to having the idols. So you can do more damage, it lasts longer. You get defensives in there as well. So ideally, you probably want to roll at least one of these. Now, this is where the super secret sauce and the power comes in as well. I've got 2 of these idols that are similar. So 7% increased damage while with Umbral Blades per stack of Dusk Shroud. And again, I'll go through in the notes how the Dusk Shroud works, how we proc it and what we do. Increased armor shred effect. And I've gone for a tier 6 ward on here. So if you've noticed, maybe I've got my HP, which is nice 2.2k, and we've got a lot of dodge ratings, so we've got a lot of dex, but I've also got extra ward in there, so we've got extra defensive mechanics in there, and it keeps going up, so we can take extra hits before we lose a bit of HP, if we do, and then obviously we've got a lot of dodge, so we do tank a lot of hits. Even Uber Aberoth's main beam on the floor, we can kind of dodge that a lot of the time, I wouldn't say tank it, but yeah, we literally get hit by it and we have enough time to dodge or move away, and we kind of survive a lot of crazy attacks that would normally kill your build. This one again, chance to inflict bleed on hit. So since we're doing a lot of physical damage and physical pen for me and my minion, I want to make sure we got a bleed on hit with this, and then physical penetration. We do bleed again. We get a lot of stacks, 200 to 500 stacks, depending on how long the fight lasts or how long some of the boss can survive. And then throwing damage, increase our total throwing damage, and we do have some throwing attacks. So it was shown here scaling, etc. Some of these throwing attacks here. And that's throwing also as well, so that will show there. But the rest of these physical, melee, minion, and those are the main ones. Now this one I've mentioned in general in my other build as well. This is very, very important and very strong. It's only a one node as well, one idle, but we do a lot of dot damage, so a lot of bleed damage over time, and this increases it a lot because we do so many stacks. We also take less dot damage, so mitigation, plus 1% to this, it's like 12%, it's a lot. And then on top of that, we do physical damage, which is our bleed, that converts to the Falcon, but the Falcon also does a bleed as well, which double dips on the damage. Now, this is probably one of the better ones to get if you can get one of these. I have got a few different versions of idols, which I can go through as well, but this is probably one of the best in slot for a couple of reasons. We get some dodge rating included, and we get 9% increased health, which again, can make you a bit more chunkier, and I've tried and tested it at 2k. For example, I got another helmet that gives me 15 dex, and it's a lot more dex, almost double. But without that extra HP at higher levels, at Corruption 1000 plus, you do feel like you can get one shot, and even some bosses can just hit you with that, so you don't get a chance to recover. But 2-2, I think, is just the ideal amount of HP base, and obviously you can add more if you want. But yeah, try and get as much HP to around 2.2k minimum, and then you should be fine on pretty much every sort of like thing to do. 1000 plus corruption, bosses, harbingers, Uber Aberoth, everything, as you can see in the footage included. Now another one is 36% increase damage of attacks used by shadows. So damage we use by the shadows is ourselves of our clones of ourselves, which we do proc, and also the shadow falconer as well. So when these disappear, there will be 3 of them. They'll throw umbral blades, and we scale the damage of umbral blades as well. Plus the falconer does shadow falcon, so that will increase the damage from there. And then also we got increased silver shroud duration. So if you don't know, it also get ward as well. If you don't know what silver shroud is, so it's pretty similar stat. It's like this. So we do 1 smoke bomb. You can guarantee dodge your next hit, and we also gain ward per stack, and it's guaranteed. So basically 1 smoke bomb, we get 5, and it just procs and it lasts longer as well. So it's great for survivability. It's just godly to have in general. See if I can find another one for you. So yeah, here we go. So another silver shroud there. Tells you at the bottom. But yeah, that's what silver shroud does, and it's just phenomenal. And it's just a case of just procking your smoke bomb. It doesn't matter what else you use, just smoke bomb. But because smoke bomb lasts so long, we can keep applying it over and over. So now we got 9 stacks. And because our cooldown is so low, that's why I was talking about the cooldown is very important. So we got 9 stacks again now. And then we got 9 stacks again. So there, that's reasons one of the cooldown is important for the build itself. So that will just, again, allow you to dodge any attack and not get hit by anything anyway. So that's just godly. And for this one, we've got 8% increased damage at umbral blades again, and also dodge rating if hit recently. So if you probably noticed, what I've done is I haven't just gone for 1 pure damage. I could have gone for crit multiplier. I've gone for everything because the synergy is just godly. Like, we've got a lot more defense with the build. We're tankier in general, but we still do a lot more damage as well. So yeah, basically 8% increase with this umbral blade. That's a max roll at 8%. And we got a 7-1 in here, but it's only 1 off, and the armor shred is godly as well. But this one, 82 dodge rating if hit recently. We've got a lot of dodge, which I'll go through the max dodge with you as well. But if you get hit, you can get even more dodge. So even if you do take a little bit of damage, dot damage, like very low amount, we've got highly likely chance to dodge the next big attack as well. Now, I did roll a few of these different ones. I did roll crit multi, which was good. But then we rolled like frostbite and other things as well. So I wanted to make sure we rolled something that made sense for the build. I didn't want to half-ass it and half-roll something. It just didn't make sense to me. But what we've included is something godly. So we've got 5% increased movement, minion melee attack speed for the minion. So we're already doing damage with the minion anyway. And this also scales at 8 million melee damage, which once we go for the nodes we do. And the Falcon, as it hits, it's doing melee damage. So we do extra flat damage, which is insane. So we got super lucky with that, and that's a tier 6 as well. And then the last couple of idols, we got physical pen for myself, again, which we can scale to the minion, but we've also got minion physical pen with the minion on top of this, and then that's why it scales, because it just double dips on the damage, so much damage in general. Now, this is, I'd say, still as important though. If you can get the better roll, like I've only got 8 out of 17 on this one. Increase healing effectiveness. So we've got 16, well, we've got 14 potions now on our belt. It's because we're using the jungle queen chaps. And yeah, so it's 14 in, so it's 16 in total. It should be originally. I think I've just used 2 then before the video started. But yeah, we get 16 potions. We get a lot of potions anyway. So we're good on that. But also the healing. When we throw our Falconer, I've propped into the passive node where we heal, so we can kind of tank a lot of hits, and it's important to do that. Again, I'll go through the passive tree with you, but with the increased healing effectiveness, we get more HP quicker, and our survivability is a lot better, and it's beneficial for like fighting Uber Aberoth in certain situations where you just want to stand there and kill him and do much damage. 1000 corruption bosses, same thing. You know, it's kind of just risk reward. You stay there, you can take a hit or two. You can get your HP back and tank a lot of hits because you're getting your HP back so quick, but you're also doing mega damage to them and they die anyway. Again, as you can see in the footage at the start. So I definitely recommend getting at least some increased healing effectiveness in there. And we got the Fizz Res in there as well. But again, I've gone through some other idols I did try and test. So I tried Crit Strike Multi with Caltrops. We do Caltrops with the Falconer, which is good. We went with a double crit on this one, which is good as well for more damage. But then I just wanted to make sure we rolled with everything we needed. And again, if you haven't got like some of your resistances capped, you can use these idols, which come with 12% on the max roll, to get yourself an elemental as well. But there's one more, this one, which is crit chance, crit multi, damage over time, and frailty as well. So if you haven't got like anything with frailty and you need frailty, try and get one of these instead. And then of course build up the idols how you want to build it and how you want to play. But for being optimal, the most damage for the way we've built it, you definitely want like 8 and 8 if possible. But 8 and 7 is just as good anyway. You know what I mean? Round that is phenomenal. But yeah, we've got everything covered in here. Now we'll just go over the blessings real quick. So what we got in here is the first one. Since I'm on Merchant's Guild, if you're leveling up, go for the XP one. So you can get between 6 to 10 XP, which is phenomenal for leveling. The rest of these don't really matter, but this one I got increased relic drop rate. So of course we want to get the relic, so I just put this one in for now. This one is a max roll of 40, and what scales is we're doing a lot of crit, which converts to my Falconer. So with this one, when you're first like leveling, if you feel like you want to get any resistances like void resistance, I've got mine fully capped, so I'm good. But if you need it, you can go there. You could get extra health and a few other things if you need be. Leech and stuff like that, or if you want to do anything else. But ideally you do want crit multi for the extra crazy damage, which will scale with your Falcon as well. Now this one is godly for 2 reasons. We've got our crit strike avoidance capped, so not only have I said I've got nice HP, say for a rogue in general, and a lot of dodge and ward, we've also got crit strike avoidance, so we do avoid the critical strikes in general. However, if you do get crit strike avoidance capped, or you don't want it and you want to risk it, you can get all resistances at 20 as well. So if you want to cap all your resistance, you can go 20, but it is risky. And we also get another bonus with this. So this one, basically, minion critical multiplier per 3% crit avoidance. So extra crit avoidance we get on top, we get more crits on top basically. So because of that, we get additional crits. And per 3 crit avoidance, we get 1 extra. So I am currently sitting on 105 crit strike avoidance. So yeah, either way we're going to get a bonus, but again, if you want to change it, you can change it, but I'm definitely happy with where I got it right now, and we are good to go. Now in regards to the one, same thing again, increase one-handed sword drop rate. You could change this for whatever you want. This one, again, what I've done for this in general is I've added extra ward. So again, with the build, I've added more like flat ward on top. You could go for anything you pretty much want on here really, but there isn't really anything that's viable for Falconer that'll benefit you more, and I'll show you. So we don't have any mana issues whatsoever. There's no point in going to mana, it's just a waste. This is ward per second, which is great. We don't have that high intelligence, we only have like 14, so there's no point. But if you look at my ward right now, because we have so many potions, by just spamming potions and collecting potions, we can get our ward to 1,000. So not only do we have a lot of defenses and dodge, if we're blasting through the map and there's a lot of potions, you can just keep picking them up and you're going to get a lot of ward on top, which can make you tank extra hits that you normally can't tank anyway. And because it's the decay threshold is quite high, it goes down quite slowly per se when you're reaching around the 500, 400, as you can see. So it's slowing down at 3. So basically we've got 2,200 with a little bit of extra ward on top. So like, let's just say 2.5k of extra like defenses in general. So that's why that's so good as well. Now, what we've gone for also as well is the suffix shard drop rate, which isn't too ideal for anything specific. I just added it because it's there, and we could pick anything once, so change it accordingly. But any sort of suffixes are great for shard rates. Obviously, you can get your craft just gear better in general, and you can have more availability for like if you get a nice exalted to finish as well, basically. And then also, because as mentioned, we do a lot of bleed in general, I've gone for this, which is a max roll, which is chance to shred physical resistance on hit. So not only do we apply a lot of bleed and pen itself, we actually shred the resistance of the enemy, which we get maximum stacks of 10, and we do even more damage. Hence why we do so much damage and bleed damage and damage over time. So if you can get that's ideal. But again, if you are leveling and you're struggling with more survivability, you can go for armor. That is probably the most ideal one. There is some idols that work off this as well with cold hits, but just go for armor. Go for armor, then go for this, and you're good to go. Now, this one's pretty much a no-brainer if you're going for maximum damage. I got a max roll for this, which is 100% increased minion damage. So just go for the minion damage if you want to get that max damage. But if you are leveling and you want survivability, you can just go for the armor, which is 320 max roll. And if for any reason you don't have frailty, which I've shown you ways of getting it, you can still apply it from here and then change after. But these are best in slot for max damage, max output. And if you are running someone like Uber Aberoth and other like bosses, you just want to do as much damage as you can. So it's beneficial just to pump out the damage, kill them quicker than they kill you, or get a chance to kill you, and you kind of just bot through the whole game basically. Alright, so that is the blessings for you done. So we'll quickly go over to the skills. Now what I'll do is, if there's anything covered on the screen, I will kind of like explain it, but at the same time I will be releasing a full build planner. Well, not in release, it will be in the links in the description below. I'll attach a full build planner so you can see all the skills used. I'll attach a loot filter as well, so everything will be available for you. And I stream on Twitch every day, so if you've got any questions still, I can still help you with the build, and we can go from there as well. So ideally, I've packed this specifically just to make everything work. So if we go down here, we get a nice bit of extra damage, which is great. Now, the dive bomb itself, it creates shadow falcons which strike the location of your shadows, and it'll prioritize your shadows nearest to the target location. Shadow falcons deal less damage than the real falcon. However, this is going to synergize with everything, and when I explain it, you'll understand why we've gone into it. But we'll go up here first. So as I mentioned, bleed and bleed damage, and we do physical pen, so we do more damage and physical shred. This is like a no-brainer. So our dive bomb hits cause enemies to bleed, which is phenomenal. However, if you are dual wielding, a portion of the damage specific stats from both of your weapons apply to Falcon's dive bomb. So this is the dive bomb, and whereas I mentioned those specific weapons and what we've got, physical damage, physical pen, chance to shred armor, crit strike multiplying, chance to inflict bleed on hit. So basically all that congruates in one and transfers to the Falcon basically, and goes into that. It is a ratio, but it doesn't matter because it still applies to it, and it's at 30%, which because I rolled tier 7s and high stats, that's still a lot, and it's just phenomenal. So that's why all of that applies to the Falcon. And then we got some other nodes which go into it as well. Now this is where it all kind of kicks in. The whole build is pretty insane. So whereas I mentioned the idols for Dusk Shroud, you gain a stack of Dusk Shroud for each Shadow Falcon that hits at least one enemy. So whereas I mentioned this, when we do our dive bomb, it creates a Shadow Falcon. Every time we get a Shadow Falcon, we create a Dusk Shroud. The Dusk Shroud will then give us more damage, and that increases, and then we put more Shadow Falcons, which gives us more damage. So it just keeps scaling, and that's why the burst damage is insane. Now on top of all of that, your Shadow Falcons deal more damage multiplicative with other modifiers per umbral blade you have on the ground. Now since we're using Razor 4, if you read the notes, Area Assault's Burst of Feathers includes 1 umbral blade per 20 dexterity. So if we go over here, it should be here somewhere. Should be on the wing burst, right? Okay, let's double check on here. But yeah, burst of feathers basically. So anything from there proc, so you just get more umbral blades. The more umbral blades we get, the more damage we're doing. It kind of just scales the whole thing in general. So I didn't want to go too ahead of time, so I'll go for this with you, so it might be a bit confusing. But yeah, basically it just synergizes all together. Then on top of all of that, your Shadow Falcons that land inside the area Smoke Bomb. We have Smoke Bomb, which I'll go through. They have a chance to take off a game short delay and diving against nearby enemy. So what will happen is they'll dive bomb once anyway. They'll get us dust shrouds. But because of this, they're 100% chance to re-proc. They'll go up and come back down again. Then we'll get more Shadow Falcons. We'll get more Shadows, dust shroud stacks again. So like it's just the whole thing just synergizes crazy basically. We've got increased cooldown recovery speed 24. You do want to get the cooldown recovery speed as low as you can. Hence why I mentioned it's very, very, very important to do so. So we've got this at 2.5, but because this and Aerial Assault proc into each other, we have instant like over and over. And again, I'll go for the rotation as well, so you understand how it works. With this, we got slow stacks. We got area 15%. We've also got remaining cooldown covered as well. You reduce a portion of dive bombs remaining cooldown when you use a throwing or bow attack. We probably could have taken this and gone into here for more crit, but we're good the way we are. But yeah, if you want to change this from there, you can just go into this one as well. I have got Umbral Blades on, and I can throw my Umbral Blades to bring the cooldown with that as well, so I kept that in here personally. But you don't proc it, you don't have to. It's just I play in a certain way for monos, and I'll show you some other tech which I'll explain as well. So this works better up here rather than here. Then we've also got Feather Fall. Before your Falcon Fall dives, it uses Feather Fall, causes the ray sharp feathers to strike a number of areas in an area around the target location. It says Shadow Falcons won't use Feather Fall, which is fine. But we've got it in there. It also does more damage in general. So it gets quite a bit of damage. And again, we've got physical damage, which converts to our Falcon. We've got throwing attack in there as well, which we've got throwing damage, which scales, and we've got minion damage. So we do a lot more damage with just 1 point in here anyway. And then on top of all of that, we've got Talon Blades. This one might be covered, but again, I'll include it in the build planner so you can see. But Dive Bomb and Feather Fall hits grant you a stack of Talon Blades for 18 seconds. You have increased critical strike chance and crit multiplier per stack. So again, we get more crit chance, more crit multi, and then that will then convert to the Falcon. So again, just we're buffing ourselves and just doing more damage in general, so it's pretty insane. Now, in regards to the next one, I mentioned Smoke Bomb. This is really, really cool. So, ideally you want the smoke cloud to last as long as you can, because once you put the smoke cloud, it will bring in 3 shadows. You then proc your dive bomb goes up and procs the shadows. They then come up and proc again, and then obviously the dust shrouds build up, and you're still doing damage if you're Falcon, and then you got your aerial assault proccing. So it's important to have as much duration as you can. Also, this is pretty awesome. You and your allies, so that you can play with your teammates and play in duos, trios, or quads. You and your allies are granted smoke blades each second, 4 seconds while in smoke cloud, granting you additional melee and throwing damage, which again can stack, and it also increases our total damage. Whereas I mentioned throwing damage again, with this it's insane. And then we've gone for this node here, which you can see actually. It's called Umbral Assault. The smoke cloud has a chance to create a shadow each second at random locations inside the smoke cloud. So again, whereas I mentioned the smoke bomb itself, we just proc it. You get 3 shadows. You can then drop your dive bomb, which will proc other things as well on the screen. So you can see the other procs here, and so forth, so forth. And then it also does blades on top, which is phenomenal. Now, the area is great to have 2. If you get more points in here, you can go up here and get Glancing Blow, etc. And Dusk Shroud frequencies for even more damage. But with the points we got at 22, said without that, if I was to put Shattered Worlds in, if I wanted to, we could and could get 1 more point. But yeah, this ideal at 22. We've got 2 in here. This is you backflip away from the target when you use Smoke Bomb, but it counts as movement skill. But what we've gone for is Cloaked Incursion. So instead of using Aerial Assault, which is our damage attack, if we was to use it for traverse, it would be really, really slow. But because we've made it just a damage attacker and that procs with dive bomb continuously, we've changed smoke bomb into a traversal skill. So this leap towards the targets and kind of better for movement. And again, for Uber Aberoth, you don't want to be all over the place. You want to go directly to them, have better like control over your movement. And all you literally do is, when I explain the rotation of the build, how it works, it's so simple. And I'll show you with the full showcase. But you're only going to really need 3 buttons to play the build, really. Also this one as well. So initial burst, price, frailty. So we got frailty anyway. For any reason someone's close to you, or you think you might be taking big damage or about to take a big hit, you proc the smoke bomb, you dive into them, you hit them with frailty, 1 stack anyway, you take a damage reduction. But we've also got frailty on the build, which I mentioned already as well, so we get that max damage reduction. Now I already kind of explained the Silver Shroud, but initial burst grants you a stack of Silver Shroud, causing you to dodge next hit and gain ward. We got extra duration of it, and I've already explained how it works, and it's just phenomenal. And that's literally just from pressing smoke bomb. The cooldown is 3 seconds, so short we can keep proccing it. As you saw, I'm getting more stacks up to 9 each time as well. Now this is pretty awesome. Cleansing Steam. The initial burst cleanses negative elements on you. So any sort of proc that you procced with, every 3 seconds you're cleansing. So you're never stun locked, even with Uber Aberoth's vines. You're never stunned, you're never like electrocuted and stunned and shocked. You're never taking poison damage over time. You're never taking bleed damage. You're just always cleansed, so you're always clean, and it's dope. It just nullifies any sort of damage they can do to you in the game. So the only time you can really die is if you take a massive hit, if you get really unlucky. But as far as damage over time goes, you're always cleansed, so you don't really take anything. And we've also got dot mitigation for that as well, which is phenomenal. So yeah, this one again, I think everything's clear for you to see. So yeah, basically this one is amazing, and we got a lot of conversion nodes. So over here we go for additional Falcon strikes. This one's awesome in regards to mana, where I mentioned. So when your Falcon kills an enemy or hits a boss, we actually restore mana. So it says mana gain per 40 total attributes 1. Our total attributes are quite high. I mean, we're probably what, 14, 28, let's just say 210, say about 250 roughly in total attributes on average, roughly. And then we still got more min-maxing to do if we wanted to as well, so we got a lot more we could add. But basically, yeah, we got a lot of mana back. So we proc the Falcon, it hits a lot, it's really quick, so we always have our mana, we always have mana available. This gives the cooldown reduction after skill use. This is pretty cool, which I mentioned earlier in regards to the transfer of the damage. So a portion of your highest global increased melee damage, increased throwing damage, increased bow damage now apply to all your Falcon damage. We're using dual daggers, so we got more melee and throwing type of damage. So a portion of your highest global damage type will be applied, and it goes 50%, which is a lot. And then your critical strike chance modifier also applied to the Falcon. So we got crit on the amulet as well. And again, I'll go through the passive with you what we got, but basically all our crit transfers to the Falcon at 50%, so we're always guaranteeing critting anyway. And this is very important when you're dual wielding. When you use a melee, throwing or bow attack, you critically strike at least one enemy. Your Falcon gains a portion of your global melee throwing, again throwing keyword, or bow critical strike multiply respectively for 10 seconds. So we get a massive buff from there. And then also, because we do a lot of crit and multi in general, it says crit multi transfer to Falcon crit multi buff after attack is 25%. So it's a lot. So it double dips on the damage. Your Falcon now uses feather knives at enemies. This is a 10-second cooldown. Your Falcon also throws a single feather knife whenever you consume Falconer's Mark. Falconer's Mark's up here and we consume it a lot. So even though it seems like not that much, I don't think you can see this off the tooltip, but this does feather knives, and this is 6,351. It's quite a lot of damage, and we can apply it a lot as well. Falcon damage per level. Is any more covered? Okay, so I think it's just 2 nodes. Oh no, yes, apart from this one node that you can't really see the tooltip, everything else is available. So Falconer's Journey, Falcon damage per level, get more damage. Falcon damage per dex again. We have 186 dex, so it scales off there, which is phenomenal. And then on top of all of that, your Falcon deals more global damage, multiplicative other modifiers, just more damage again. It's triple for Falcon strikes, Falcon damage, extra 15%. Triple for Falcon strikes, and then Agile Prey. Your Falcon deals more damage, multiplicative again. The effect is tripled against moving targets, which is insane. And then of course this is just godly. So a portion of your chance to inflict bleed hits, poison, shred armor, shred resistances, and slow and hit also apply to your Falcons. Hits at 60%. So I mentioned the armor shred, I mentioned the shred resistances, I mentioned the chance to inflict bleed and hit, and again this is why it just does so much damage. And then on here, Falconer's mark, we've already gone through. Damage to marked enemies or marked target, an extra 150% damage, insane. And then we got chance to inflict the Falconer's mark 40%, which is great. And then on top of all of that, when you consume Falconer's mark, your Falcon gains additional melee damage again. We've already got melee damage on the idols as well. To a portion of your added melee damage, throwing damage, or spell damage, depending on the type ability you use to consume the mark again. So again, that converts from that damage to 30% there. And you can have it stacking up to 5 times as well. So it's just absolutely insane. Now, I think there's only one node covered in here, but I'll go through that with you as well. I think we're good. So in regards to Umbral Blades, I mentioned there's some other things that I use and the way I use for like monos. You can use it on bosses as well. We've gone 5 out of 5 here. More physical damage, bleed damage. We've gone over here, throw and attack speed at target location. Now this gives us explosive blades, which is awesome. So we do extra explosive procs on the screen. It's good for like mobbing, good mob clearing when you're running monos, but it also does good damage to like bosses as well when it explodes. And obviously you can apply multiple of these. And then this one, the shard explosion as well. So the shard explosion deals damage in a larger area, and it does more explosion area per second on the ground. And more explosion on the ground as well, and that's hitting for like 3k. Nothing too crazy, it scales off decks, but again we do a lot of them and then it starts scaling. Now this is where some of the cool things I've added in the build which are pretty awesome. So you got Umbral Blades deal more damage per stack of Dusk Shroud on you. So as I mentioned, we're doing a lot of Dusk Shroud. We then scaling with this on top, plus the idols, so it just synergizes so well. Now, on top of all of that, whenever one of your shadows expire, they also leave behind the Umbral Blade. So whereas I show you the smoke bomb, we also do extra Umbral Blades on top. And then, because the Umbral Blades are there, then we drop the smoke, then we have the boots, we get more Falcons, dive bombing on top, and then again, it just synergizes so well. Sword Thrower just 1 because it's part of the tree, but we get extra damage and radius. Cacophony of steel, blade spin in place. We got 101 there, and then we got steel torrent, which you can't see the full node, but basically blade storms last longer, deal damage in larger area. So we have more chance to proc other stuff in between. The Umbral Blades, the smoke bombs, all synergizes, and the area is larger at 160, and the duration is 40% as well. And then finally Loathing. Blade Storms solely seek out enemies. So on top of all a lot of the Blade Storms coming out and the Umbral Blades, they actually target, so they go towards the target. So they're kind of homing on the target as well, which is phenomenal. And that's that covered for you as well. Now, Aerial Assault. I mentioned this, and some of the stuff you might have taken in what I mentioned before, and I think we went over this quickly, but basically, remaining cooldown on Falcon hit, so we can get the cooldown even lower this way. We got Caltrops as well, which do additional damage. Another, doesn't seem like a lot, but we're proccing it so much, the stacks is crazy. On top of that, they deal physical damage over time, and I've already mentioned what physical damage we do, so it all scales really well. And then on top of that, direct use of using Aerial Assault recovers a portion of your missing mana, so we can get mana back from there. But directly using Aerial Assault fully recovers a portion of the remaining cooldown of Falconry as well as Dive Bomb, and that's why them two synergize so well. So we can proc the Dive Bomb, we then proc Aerial Assault, which then in continuations allows us to proc Dive Bomb, which then allows us to press Aerial Assault, and it's just constant. That's why it's just so much burst damage consecutively, so ridiculously as well. And then from there we got missing health recovery from here using Aerial Assault, and then this one for the next 8 seconds after using Aerial Assault, critical strikes dealt by you or your Falcon grant you a stack of aerial prowess to a maximum. When you next use your Aerial Assault, it'll consume all the stacks, restore our health per stack. So because we're doing so many stacks, we're always getting our HP back as well on top of that, and then we do a lot more damage. And it says max aerial prowess stacks is 36, and it says damage per stack 2%. So what's that? 72, double. So it's just crazy damage just a short period of time. So Aerial Assault has a chance to grant you aerial prowess stacks on non-critical strikes and when you kill an enemy. So when we're mono like popping off, as soon as we kill an enemy we're stacking it, but non-critical hits as well. So it doesn't always have to be a crit hit. It can just be any hit, but we always end up getting a lot of stacks each time. You'll see the numbers on the screen as well. And then this one, directly using Blister, which we don't use, Explosive Trap we don't use, or Dive Bomb. This also consumes stack of the aerial prowess. So whereas we get those 36 stacks, we then use a Dive Bomb, does the extra damage. Again, it just synergizes crazy, it's just awesome. And then on this way up, we got more character damage for Feather Burst, which I've mentioned and I'll go into. However, with this, the Wing Burst now applies an Umbral Blade. So when we do the Wing Burst itself, which is included in here, so we do the Aerial Assault, Wing Burst comes out. The Wing Burst itself includes an Umbral Blade, a few, and that throws 6 blades. Those 6 blades then proc off. We then get the Smoke Bomb, we get the Dusk Shrouds. So as you can see with the Blade Storm, that's where the synergy just comes in all together. And then on top of that, we've added more Armor Shred chance, hence why we do so much Armor Shred, because we have so many blades on the screen as well. We've gone into this, so it continues releasing. So once we do the additional Wing Burst, it keeps going on for more damage. That's for additional 5 seconds. And then what we've also included as well is, like, say, more crowd control, more AoE. We've got slow chance on here, and we also get more dodge rating. And because we're proccing so much in a nice area, we've got higher dodge rating, we're doing more damage. And then for more secret source, what I've done is I've added shaded wingspan. So if there's a boss or rare enemy nearby, Aerial Assault also creates a Shadow Falcon. Shadow Falcon, we've already gone through this. What does Shadow Falcon do when it hits? Creates a Dusk Shroud, gives you more damage. So no matter what you're using, whether it's a Dive Bomb or the Aerial Assault, we're always kind of proccing a Dusk Shroud. So we're always getting so many, and that's why we have up to 70 to 90 in between certain bursts of fights. And that's where, like, the secret source comes in. That's why we get so much damage. And also on top of that, it also does Feather Storm as well. So that covers the Feather Storm with you, as well as the Shadow one. Now, whereas I mentioned this one, you probably can't see. It's called Storm on the Horizon. So Aerial Assault no longer moves you. Additionally, it deals more damage, and it no longer has a minimum range. So that covers that in the tree, which is what I mentioned about the skill. So we changed the Smoke Bomb from a passive to a traversal skill, and then we removed our traversal skill to make it a flat skill to do more damage as well. And that covers that for you as well. Thanks for the lurk as well, Jesus Freak. So that's all the skills covered, and that's all the synergy covered for you. So what we'll get on to now is the passives, and then I will show you a rotation and explain how it all works. So you'll probably get a better understanding and understand why the build is so strong. So on the passives themselves, I should have everything available, and again, everything will be included in the build planner for you. But top to bottom, first one, the first tree, base tree. You want 8 for the dex in here and health. For Guile, you want dodge rating and some poison resistance for 1. This is, evasion is godly though. So take less damage while moving. Since we're moving quite a lot of the time, we take 20% less damage, but we also get 25% increased dodge rating, which is flat. So even if we're not moving and we're standing still, which is good for the damage, we still get an additional 25%. Now, you will need the twin blade to obviously dual wield, so you have to go in here. But what I've used is this node, which I find is just phenomenal. We've got duelist, so increased damage while dual wielding. We're dual wielding, and we've got 32% increased damage. And again, that also transfers to the Falconer. And on top of all of that, we also get dodge rating included. So we also get 32%. So we're getting a lot of crazy increase of damage, but we're also getting a lot of dodge. So as far as me testing the nodes and trying different ones, if you're leveling and you don't have the best dual wielding and you want to be a bit more safe, go for dodge and parry. This is another good one for glancing blow, another damage reduction modifier, because you can get quite a lot of chance, 15% in here, and you can get dodge rating in here. And also on the Falconer tree, you can go for this one, Wilderness Scout, health and dodge rating, which is really good if you don't manage to get that slam I mentioned and the one I've got, or you just want a bit more survivability. And you can also go for this one, Tailwind, as well, which is great. But again, like I said, I wanted to go for maximum damage, have flat damage, have flat dodge, not situational, and it just works perfect for me. But again, build how you want to build. Everyone's different, so just build as long as you're happy you build. That's all that matters. And then on the Blade Dancer section, we've gone for dexterity here, and the glancing blow chance is 16%, so it's quite high. This is phenomenal. And then this was actually, I may have missed this. So shadow damage is 1, right? But we also do shadow daggers. So I may have missed that on the explanation. Oh yeah, so this one's actually covered. This is called Lethal Darkness. So basically, when we do Umbral Blades, and I mentioned that, and we do so many Umbral Blades, we inflict shadow dagger on hit while using daggers. Because we're using 2 daggers, look at the damage on that. We get additional 44,000. This is just off base because we got 744% increased scaling. But because we got the other modifiers and the shadow damage, the damage just scales really stupid. It goes really high. But because we proc these on every single minion or anything on any mono, and it constantly procking, it does a lot of damage and it scales really well. So yeah, this is why this is very important. So we get health gain on shadow creation. So I showed you smoke bomb, we get shadows. We do other things, we get shadows. We got increased shadow damage, again 90%, which is insane. And then the 4-point bonus. Shadow daggers deal more damage to rare enemies and bosses. And it says here 50%. So this is what I meant about the scaling. It's pretty ridiculous. So it's definitely viable to get that if you're going to go with the shadow daggers route. And the extra damage is just insane. So definitely get that. Now in the marksman tree, you got another one called focus fire. So you got dexterity and dodge rating, which again is phenomenal. Obviously dex you want to scale as much as you can in general. And we're sitting on 186, I think I said. So yeah, get as much as you can. You want to ideally aim for about 180 if possible, minimum. But with the scaling this build, the way I've scaled it, even at lower, I already beat Uber Abaroth at lower decks as well. But I don't mind just keep leveling up and doing more with the build. But yeah, get to about 180 if possible. That would be ideal to just breeze through, and with this build anyway. And yeah, so just go into focus fire and get that. And then finally, all the stuff I mentioned earlier, you'll probably understand a bit more now. We got increased minion damage here. Your Falcon and Blister have additional base crit. We only use a Falcon, so extra crit for the Falcon. And we do a lot of crit multi, so it synergizes as well. I already showed you Crimson Chance. So you have a chance to gain Crimson Shroud when your Falcon hits. A Falcon hits a lot. We get this. We do more. I've already gone through this and explained this. Dexterity, again, no-brainer. 8 is just phenomenal. And your Falcon deals additional throwing damage. Throwing damage, again, I mentioned before. Per point of dex. We've gone for the dex, 186 dex. A lot more damage in general. It's pretty insane. And it's per 4 dex, we do an extra 1. So we're doing a lot. Also, Peltast, throwing attack damage, throwing attack speed increases, and increased Falcon throwing attack speed. I went for 7 of 7. You don't have to go as many if you don't want it for the damage. Again, you can like put 1 or 2 points into here or here if you feel like you need more survivability. But with this, I got the maximum damage output with no drop off. With this one, is throwing damage again, additional, and also on top of that, your Falcon gains a portion of your added throwing damage, which I mentioned earlier, as added melee. Again, the melee I mentioned as well, and throwing damage. So a conversion of that is 50%, which is a lot. This one's phenomenal as well. When you use a certain ability in your bar, you gain 3 stacks of Silver Shroud, which I've gone through you already. Has a 10-second cooldown, and depending on the ability, it gives you there, but it also gives additional health as well, so we've got that on there as well. Phenomenal here again, dexterity, no-brainer, increased armor, more dodge rating, phenomenal. This one, Relentless Talons, is amazing. We get increased damage ourselves, which converts to the Falconer. The Falconer gets increased damage for them, and also you regain health, which I mentioned about doing damage, DOT, per point of dexterity when you Falcon its enemy, and the ratio is per 3 dex 1 extra damage, which is insane. And then this one is intuitive connection, is amazing. Falcon strikes and dive bomb are now instant, so they're not like a delayed attacker, they're just instant. It says cooldown 5%, but they're just instant abilities, so hence why we can do so much burst and we're not having any pause in between each of them. And then needle like precision is just godly. Crit chance for us, crit chance of the minion, which again scales, unite, converts now. We do more crit multi for us, which goes to the Falcon, and the Falcon does more crit multi and it scales. And I mentioned DOT, so this is another phenomenal one, Sky Assassin. So we do a lot of bleed damage, which I mentioned. We also do increased damage over time, so increased bleed at 35%, which is a lot. But then a portion of your chance to inflict bleed, which I showed you on the daggers, and poison. So if you did get poison and bleed on your daggers, you'd apply both of those. It's applied to your Falcon at 50% the transfer rate or the conversion rate, which is amazing. And then this node here is Stifalian feathers. If you have additional armor per point of dex, so the more dex we get, the more armor we get, and that ratio is per 2 dex we get +4. And then a 4-point bonus is you have increased armor for each time your Falcon hits an enemy recently, and it says 2% flat. And our Falcon because of the speed, the way it works, and the procs, it hits us so many hits, so we get a lot more armor, which is insane. Now, last but not least, I showed you this earlier about the crit and the extra stuff. So you regain health when you or your minions crit. We're always critting, so always getting health back. You have additional crit strike avoidance, so we can get crit strike avoidance capped. And then your minions gain additional crit strike multiplier per 3% of your uncapped critical strike avoidance. So the crit strike cap is 100, and we got 105. So it's not like a massive increase, but we got additional crit multi, and it's in the build, and it gives us more defensive. So why not? But again, if you did want to take that off and not have a bit extra crit, you could go for all resistances if you want, but then you are more susceptible to big crit damage if you get hit by crits as well. So you got to be super careful with that as well. And that's the passives for you as well, covered. So by now you should understand how all the build works and how it all goes. However, I'm going to do a full stat breakdown, and then I'll do a quick rotation for you. So as far as all the stats, total stats go now, we're on 14 vitality, 14 strength, 186 dexterity, 14 intelligence, 14 achievements. We got 2.2k base health. We got health regen at 45. We got nice movement speed at 44. We got mana at 129. Mana regen 11.2. Our fire resistance is at 92, so it's capped. Lightning and cold aren't. They're at 52. But again, for me, it works perfect the way I've got it. But you can proc into those, or you could change that with a blessing if you want. And then because I got no portent, because I've overcapped it, I get bonuses with this as well. So for my physical, I got 101, so we get additional like physical reduction. Poison is 57%, but whereas I mentioned the cleanse, because we're cleansing every 3 seconds, we can cleanse everything. We don't even need poison even included, but we got it added anyway at 57. So even if I haven't got them capped, they're still at a decent amount, so they do work. It's just they're not fully capped because I just didn't really need to, and I don't really want to. And like I said, I can change other things and still run the 1000 corruption, still blast as I do. Necrotic is at 84%, so it's over cap. And then Void is definitely one important to get overcapped, I believe. So we got this at 110, which again works for the no portent. So armor is 27% at 1258. Stun avoidance is 750, and ward retention is 28%, and our dodge is 47%. So 1749. And again, you'll see all the stats on the build plan. I'll link all that in the description for you as well. So what I'm going to quickly do is, you saw the footage how it works, but I'll quickly show you a quick rotation, just so you can see how it works, and you can kind of see the damage and the scale it does as well. And that should be most of it covered for you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll go straight over to the boss training dummy. So literally, the build itself, said it's so easy to play. All you're going to do is just drop your smoke bomb. Once you drop your smoke bomb, always drop your dive bomb first. And then this is no macros, this is no extra stuff, this is just manual. So all you're doing is just smoke bomb, RB, L trigger. But however you configure where you're playing on mouse and keyboard, all you need is smoke bomb, dive bomb, and your aerial assault. And then once you've propped them, you just don't need to let go. You can just keep holding them. So again, just literally smoke bomb, dive bomb, aerial assault, and that's it. Just hold it. You can. What's pretty cool is there's multiple targets in the map. You just steer your controller in that direction, or your click where you want. But as you can see, 300 armor shred stacks roughly. We had 200 and something bleed stacks. And if I show you this way again. Say we aim it this way now. Our Dusk Shroud is 57. We can get it 64, and it just keeps going up. We can get up to 90 plus on Uber Abaroth as well. And that's where the damage just scales ridiculous. But yeah, as you can see, some of these numbers are pretty ludicrous. And this is not including like the extra like bleed damage and stuff as well. And then the damage over time just kicks in as well on top of that. So again, one more time. So just whenever you see a target, and if it's a fresh target, for example, smoke bomb in, aim where you want, and then just dive bomb, aerial assault. And then if they're about to hit you with a big attack, you just dive bomb away. You get to safety, you get your Dusk Shrouds, your Silver Shrouds, everything in between. You get your extras as well. And don't forget, as a defensive mechanic, even if you're getting chased by a mob, if you was to throw your smoke bomb, you just walk away, and then automatically proc umbral blades for you anyway, which has do a lot of damage. And also, you could probably see the shadow daggers, which I mentioned as well. So see those daggers in there? So you'll always proc in something. That's what's so insane about the build. So yeah, we got up to 60 Dusk Shrouds there. But like I said, on bigger bosses and like Uber Abrath, you can see up to like 90. And it's nothing to do with macros, nothing like, no tricks or secrets or anything hidden. It's just pure, just manually you control it and play you want. I'd say one last thing though, I did mention. What's cool is, if you are going to monos and there are multiple targets, whereas I mentioned you just do smoke bomb and you just do dive bomb at area assault, you blow up most of the map. So as you do this on multiple, it will just blow up the whole map anyway. If for any reason someone does get close to you, you can just throw your actual umbral blades manually. So you just throw one, and then it will spin and do more damage. That's why I mentioned that will also increase your cooldown for your skills as well in between. So potentially what you could do is smoke bomb, dive bomb, aerial assault, and then to finish off a marble with 1 or 2, just throw umbral blades. So it's like a sequence really, and then you don't need to press your Falcon strikes ever. But if you want to, obviously you can as well. Just still does crazy damage in the face. And there you go, folks. That is my Predator Falcon God build for you. So it's quite in-depth, I'd say, build, because I see people asking a lot of questions. I see, people showcasing certain builds but not showing how it all works. And again, this is all online. I did this in a week while juggling multiple builds and other characters as well. And I do stream other games as well. But if you enjoyed the content, just drop the video a like. If you got any questions, I can help you, whether it's in the comment section or the Twitch live streams, which I do every single day. But yeah, again, that is my Predator Falcon Nia God build for you, done and dusted. And I have several other builds coming out. So apart from that, wherever you are, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good evening. I will catch you on the next one. Take it easy and peace out.